Hello and welcome to DBMS. I am Parinda Prajapati and today I am going to start the Unit 1 in DBMS, which is Database System Architecture. So let's continue. In first unit, you have topics of introduction to DBMS, application of DBMS, disadvantage of file management system, three-level database system, then data abstraction and independence, then database user and DBA, and database system architecture. In this particular video lecture, we are going to cover the first three topics. So let's continue. So now first question is, what is DBMS? So DBMS stands for Database Management System. But is it enough to understand that what is DBMS? No. So let's break this database management system into words. So now first thing is we need to understand is what is data. So data is just a raw thing. It simply exists and has no significance beyond its existence. What does that mean? Suppose I have given you the example 22, and now if I ask you that what is this 22, so can you give me the exact answer? No. Why? Because this 22 can be a date, this 22 can be age, this 22 can be marks or anything. So just 22 don't describe any information. Same way Shivani, if I ask you that who is Shivani, then you can't give me the perfect answer, because Shivani can be a girl, Shivani can be some brand name also, or Shivani can be some product also. So here with just data, we don't get any information. So now next is, what is information? So whenever we are processing our data, it becomes information. So information is nothing but the processed data. Whenever we are asking the questions with who, what, where, and when, and if we are getting the answers for this kind of questions, then it is known as the information. Suppose that I have given you the 22 is the age of Shivani, and then I will ask you that what is this 22? Then you can directly say that 22 is the age. It stands for the age number. So now next is knowledge. Whenever you apply your data and information to your real life, then it becomes the knowledge. So what is knowledge? It is the application of data and information. Now what is this database? So database management system has three parts, which is database plus management plus system. Now what is this database? So database is the collection of interrelated data, which means suppose you are making the database of some college, then there will be a different tables like student, faculty, admin. So these tables are interrelated to each other. So this is the collection of interrelated data. Now what is this management? Management, that means manipulation or searching or security. That means whenever you are talking about the database, you are talking about data, and with data what you do, you are doing this different operations, like you add new data, or you update the data, you delete data, you search data, or you give the security to your data. So whatever the operation you perform with your data are known as the management. And to perform this kind of operation, you need some tools or software or some programs. So that is known as the system. So program or tools used to manage the data are known as the system. So now let's connect these three all. So now what is a DBMS? So DBMS is a collection of interrelated data and a set of programs to access those data. So now we are clear with DBMS. In DBMS, we store data in the table format, like row and column format. Now, what are the application of DBMS and where we are using the DBMS? So, if you will check your surrounding, then almost each and every sector, wherever data is important, we are using DBMS. So let's check this all application, like telecommunication. For particular telecommunication, they manage the database of their subscribers and users. So for that, they need to manage database. Then finance, they need to manage all the customers, and then their transactions and histories of transaction. So they need this kind of database to manage this data. In military also, for the security purpose, they want a high level of data of nations, country, and different missions. So they are also managing the database management system. Then online shopping, we do the online shopping from the Amazon, Flipkart, Myntra, and lot many websites. So they are managing the data of customers or different categories of products and all that things. Then human resource management, as an HR, you need to manage the data of all your employee, their salary and their leaves and all that things. For that, you are using the DBMS. Then in manufacturing, for the product details, you use the data DBMS. Then airline reservation system, any reservation system, there will be like a database. They handle the database of particular passengers and their history and their details. Then we have social media sites. We use social media sites a lot, and we generate a lot of data on each and every second on social media sites, so that these all data need to be managed, and this management is done by the DBMS. Credit card transactions, because we done the lot many transaction, and we whenever we want transaction history, we can get easily with a matter of seconds, and that's why they need to manage this DBMS, and they need to use DBMS. If they don't use DBMS, then we can't get our history in the matter of second. Then universities and college, because they have lot many students and different semesters, different subjects and faculties, so to map these all data to each other and to manage this data, they need to use DBMS. Then banking system, banking is the biggest factor, as they have lot many customers and the different kinds of accounts, loans, insurance and all that things. So to manage this data, they need to handle DBMS. Then railway reservation system, as we discussed, that all reservation system will use the database management system. So these are the application of database management system. So now next topic is disadvantage of file system. So now what is this file system, and are we using file system right now? Then yes, we all are using file management system, and as we have seen the application of DBMS, that doesn't mean that we are not using the file management system. File management system comes with operating system in your PC, in your laptop. You can create a new file, or you can store your file into different drives like C drive, D drive, E drive, and you can rename and do the operation with your all files. It is because of file management system, and that file management system handles the storage of all the files you have created or already created by the application programmer who have written the operating system. So it does not mean that we are not using the file management system right now. In your phone also there will be one file manager, and where you can also like store and access or make different folders and files in a different location, like on your phone or cloud or whatever. So but there are some disadvantage, and due to those disadvantage, there is a need of database management system. So what are the disadvantage? In file management system, there is a data redundancy and inconsistency. Now redundancy, that means the repetition of data, and due to repetition of data, we are getting the inconsistency. Suppose there is one data of student. So suppose that there are 10 different faculties, and all 10 faculties are going to teach in particular one class. So all 10 faculties will manage the database, manage the details of the students. Like suppose there are 40 students in the class, so all faculties will manage their 40 students record in that particular personal PC. But all those faculties will input this particular data, like suppose students data is enrollment number, name and phone number, then city and address and pin code, like that, this kind of data we have. So all 10 faculties will add this kind of data, so we will get the 10 different copies of one student. So that is known as the data redundancy. Then difficulty in accessing data due to redundancy and inconsistency. So suppose in bank there is one file where all the details of bank customers are there, like customer ID, customer name, and then address, city, pin code and everything. But suppose one bank officer want to find out the name of customer for particular postal code area. Suppose like postal code area is 382210. I want the particular customers who live within this postal code area. So to apply this kind of constraint to in file management system are difficult. Like suppose you will you can add a filter, but with filter also it in each and every time it's not efficient, and as we have data in the different folders, so to combine these folders and then after to apply this kind of constraint, it's very difficult in particular file management system. Suppose that customer ID and name is in the different file, and customer's address in different file. So to combine these two files and get this data for the particular a postal code like name and postal code, then it is very difficult in the file management system. Then data isolation. Isolation is data are scattered in various files and formats. As we discussed that all 10 faculties have stored the same data into different files and into different formats. Someone has managed the Excel, or someone has managed doc, or someone has managed the PowerPoint presentation. So in that we have different kinds of files and formats, and due to that we had some isolation issue in our data. Next disadvantage is integrity problem. So what is integrity problem? Whenever you want to apply some constraint or rules, suppose you have one database where you have employee details with their salary, and now if I want to add that salary can't be less than 0 or 0. So whenever someone will input or someone will add the 0 value to the salary, then it will show the error. So if I want to add this kind of rule in particular file management system, then it is very difficult, and sometimes it's impossible as a normal user to add this kind of rules. Then atomicity problem. Now what is this atomicity? Atomicity, that means all or nothing. Suppose you are performing some operation or some transaction, then transaction there are possibilities that sometimes our system get fail or a server is down. At that time our transaction don't get successfully done. So if our transaction gets successfully done, then it is okay. But if some crash is there, or if some failure is there, then it should be back to the consistent state. Suppose in your account right now you have 5,000 rupees and you want to debit the 2,000 rupees. So if your transaction is successful, then after the debit of 2,000 rupees, your after the transaction of 2,000 rupees, your account balance will be 3,000. But if suppose that whenever you are going to the ATM, and suppose while doing the process, like if you are entering the amount and after that you are waiting for your money, and at that time your ATM gets failed. So after that what happened, you whenever you will check your balance will be 5,000 only if you have not get your 2,000 in your hand. So that is known as atomicity, that whenever our system get failed, we want the recovery of our database. But in file management system there is no atomicity, and if our we are having any crash or we are having any failure, then our data maybe get lost in our file management system. Then we have security problem. In database management system, we can provide high amount of security, but in file management system, if you want to give some access privilege, or if you want to hide some file details or folder details, then it is very difficult to provide this kind of security to particular file. And now let's see the DBMS versus file management system. So first here is DBMS is a collection of data, and file management system is also a collection of data. But what is the difference is, in DBMS the user is not required to write the procedure, where in a file system user has to write the procedure for managing database. What does it mean? Like here application programmer, while making the operating system, they have make some procedures and programs that how the file management system will work. In DBMS, now second point is DBMS gives abstract view of data that hides the details, as we discussed in the security. Like I don't want to let the user to see the details of database, like how many tables are there and what are the relationship between those tables and where the tables are stored. Then I can give the abstract view to a particular user. But in file system, we can't provide this kind of abstraction, like we can't hide all the details of files and folders. Then third topic is DBMS provides a crash recovery mechanism, and it protects the user from the system failure, as we discussed in the atomicity. But in file system there is no crash mechanism, and if the crash happen or a failure is there, then we can lost our data. Then we have DBMS provides a good protection mechanism, as we can provide the security, and we can decide that we can decide different kinds of user also, like particular user, like suppose I'm talking about the bank, then in bank manager has some high level of privilege, where cashier has some low level of privilege. So DBMS gives this facility to us, but in file system it is difficult to protect the file. And of course in DBMS you can provide the security also, like if you want to secure some particular data or file, like whenever we enter the username and password in like social sites or online portal, then these username and passwords are protected at the back end of suppose let me take you the example, Amazon. Then at the back end of the Amazon, our passwords are protected. But in file system, you can't give this kind of security to a particular file. Then DBMS contain a wide variety of sophisticated techniques to store and retrieve the data. There are multiple ways, multiple types of commands to store your data and to access different kinds of data. But in file system, we don't have different kinds of variety to access our data. Then DBMS takes care of concurrent access of data using some form of locking. What is this concurrent access? Suppose you have one file and at the time more than one users are accessing those files. Then in DBMS, what is the issue in that? First of all, that is known as a concurrent access whenever one file is accessed by the multiple user. But what is the problem in concurrent access? Suppose that one user is reading that particular file and at same time other user is writing that particular file or changing some data into that particular file. So in DBMS, there is some concept of logging. With that, we can provide some constraint that while someone is reading, no one can write this particular file. But in file management system, we can't provide this kind of locking concept or any concept. With that, we can have the efficient concurrent access. So these are the difference between DBMS and file management system. In next video lecture, we will cover the next topics of our unit 1. Thank you so much.